Hello, all, and welcome to Beyond the Mountain Shadow, a Nat One Fun production. Thank you for being with us here this evening as we delve into our story, and a special thank you to our sponsor, Hero Forge. Hero Forge offers fully customizable tabletop minis with dozens of species and thousands of parts to truly make your mini yours. Visit heroforge.com to start designing your custom mini today and check back often. New content is added weekly. We are going to go around quickly, introduce our cast and who they're playing tonight, starting with the wonderful Alicia.
Thank you very much, Rosie. Hi, everyone. I'm Alicia Marie. You can find me on socials at Alicia Marie Body. And tonight I am playing the dual-wielding Curse of Vengeance High Elf, older sister of Gallienne, Haven Castiel.
Hi everyone, my name is Em. I use Fae and she pronouns. I am the creative director over at Blackwater D&D, and tonight I am playing Saelin Helabaniel, the Red Dawn of Rivendell.
Hi everyone, I'm Raven, aka Wreck-It Raven on the internet everywhere. I am playing Narwin, who is a high elf scholar, very standoffish, doesn't like to have chit-chat. We'll see how this goes.
And last but not least, Utahime.
Hello everyone, I'm Utahime. You can find me on socials at Utahime Cosplay, and I will be playing Galen Cassiel, she, her pronouns, who is a high elf champion, younger sister of Haven, who happens to have been trained in smithing and weaponsmithing by a master artificer of Aregian.
We have quite the group here, and I am your lore master, Rosie. Everywhere on socials as Sweet Rosie B, and I am so excited to bring this story to you all this evening, so let's dive right in. Our story begins on a warm summer day. The dawn light filters through the many trees that surround Rivendell. It would be tranquil if not for the absolute buzz filling in the city. There is a feast happening in 2 weeks' time, and everyone has their jobs to do. Everyone is running. Here and there, the hustle and bustle is positively electric. It is this morning that you all are receiving your assignments for this feast and what it means. So, where do we find you all as you're waking up right as the dawn's light filters in through your rooms? We will start with Haven.
Oh, okay. It's the morning of the feast.
We have 2 weeks until the feast.
Oh, 2 weeks until the feast.
Yes.
Okay. This morning, actually, Haven's been up really early, and she was outside in her family's garden. She, of course, out of nowhere, she can't, for some reason, not make a lot of noise, so her younger sister, Galen, probably did wake up. She's in the yard and she's just practicing some of her sword moves because she has two really amazing swords, both crafted by her weaponsmith artisan younger sister. And she's going over some of the moves because she has later on today a class that she's teaching to a couple of the young elves here in Rivendell. She's really excited about the feast, but she's also excited to not be on active duty for the Crown Guard. So she's at home for a little while, and she's happy about that. So she's just in her front yard practicing, which is what she does best.
And I think we will pan the camera over then to Galen, who was probably woken up a bit rudely.
Well, Galen actually surprisingly was already up because she likes to get up earlier than her sister, who seems to often sleep in a little bit, probably due to her exhausting training. But she actually went to her smithy. So she is working specifically on a spear, her spear, but it was one that her brother, Orem, who was unfortunately, they lost in a battle years ago. She had taken kind of like as just a remembrance of her brother. But she's actually working to basically, in a way, make it her own, but yet keeping certain detailing on the handle that were his. But she's basically taking her time to really, with the actual spearhead, to kind of basically just she's with her hammer, she's kind of working it to make it sharper, making sure that the blade just glimmers just right. It's the perfect balance for her versus her brother, who is definitely much taller and stronger than she was, so that way she can now wield it. So she is taking time and carefully recrafting this spear.
Would you like to go ahead and make a crafting roll and see how well you're
First
doing
roll.
First roll.
All right.
She
Don't
screws up
mind.
one weapon.
Don't mind if I do. I mean, it would be, it was technically our brother, so I guess if I did mess it up, then it is what it is. Okay, so so it's I rolled a 4 and a 2 because that was one of my proficiencies in crafting. So that is under. It has to be under the target number, correct?
Above the target number. Did you roll your d12 as well?
Yes. So
Okay.
it's under. So I did not. I guess I failed.
I think maybe it's coming a little bit more difficult than you anticipated. Spears, you're more used to crafting swords. This is.
Oh, I did not roll my d6s.
Oh, there you go. Yes, please. Roll your d6s.
Okay. All right. So that's better. Okay. So that's 7 plus 6, so 13. And that's actually my target number.
Meets beats. You're good.
All right.
So explain how you craft this to perfection.
So after resizing the actual the handle itself to kind of be more in proportion with her body, she's keeping all of the runes and the etchings, but at the same time probably taking time to make sure that she's like polishing the actual handle itself, so it's like that nice sheen from instead of the worn down of battle, and then also too she's making sure that she's the dents and the different things that were on the actual spear itself, the spearhead, she's made sure to basically fix those while she's putting it into the heat, taking it to the anvil, and basically smoothing out those edges and sharpening that blade, and kind of taking that time to kind of lift it up in the sun that's rising, seeing that beautiful glint of the metal at the end, and she takes great pride in what she does. So as she's reflecting, this is for you, brother. I'm sure you would have been proud of what I did. And then she sets it down
there with their wonderful handiwork and shift our gaze to the nobler houses where we find Salin. How do we find you waking up on this warm, sunny morning?
Salin is still asleep. Salin has absolutely slept in, running more on her own schedule than anyone else's at this point, much to certainly her father's chagrin, and anyone who requires her this early in the morning. Her room is more disheveled than you would expect someone of her station to be. There is clothing, there isn't any books for sure, but it would be more accoutrement of battle. There would be things brought home. But the two things that stand pristine in the room is a beautiful crafted suit, coat of mail that stands on a dummy in the corner, with the crest of Rivendell in the front, and her father's, the symbol of her father's house on both epaulets. And next to it, a beautiful two-handed longsword, golden hilt, runes carved down the blade in the old tongue, with a giant ruby sitting in the center of the handle. And as we see her, the light hits through. She probably should have been up 2 or 3 hours ago. And she rolls out of bed, does not move at a quick pace, and kind of kicks a bunch of stuff aside, and starts going to suit up. That is something she does take great care with, would be putting on her suit of armor, and sheathing her sword to her back. No shield, but a with greaves, and like very finely made armor. And at her own pace rolls out of her room and probably downstairs towards some form of breakfast.
Which, considering your family standing, is a wonderful spread. There's fruit, there's toast, there's pastries. I'm not sure there's too many people there, though, as everyone has something to do today, including yourself,
Yes.
but we will get to that. And I don't know where we would find Narwin. Would they be in their home or in the library as they wake up?
Sometimes they're one and the same. I think that Narwin spends about equal amounts of time at both places. Her home is directly next to the library, so she has easy access, but she is in her home, and she has not slept yet. You find her at a desk with tomes and scrolls and various pieces of parchment littering and stacking upon each other, close enough to reach the ceiling, as she is very fervently dipping her quill in a pot of ink that is near empty and scrawling words, letters, images in this book. And right to the left of her is a small but fresh cup of tea, and she stops, takes a deep breath, adjusts her glasses, and sits in her chair, looking over the mountain of what one would consider chaos, as she takes a sip. And there should be bags under her eyes. There aren't. She just nods proudly, very expressionless, as she places that teacup down and once again turns to a fresh page and begins scrawling, almost obsessively.
And I think it is as you turn this next page, you hear a knock on your door.
No. No. Whoever you are, I don't want to talk. I am busy.
Miss Narwin, it is your assignment day.
Can it wait? I'm in the middle of a thought.
Well, these orders do come from Lord Elrond himself. We really do need your presence.
I will be there in a minute.
Very well, I'll go gather the others. And you hear footsteps receding.
There is grumbling. Like, I am an old curmudgeon in a sense where I cannot be bothered. What I am doing here is very important, and I don't think people understand. So I finish scrawling out my thought, place the quill in the ink, and I take my tea with me. I stop as I get to the door, turn back to the desk, pull out a journal from within it, and kind of place it in a bit of a bag at my hip, and I proceed outward.
Wonderful. Almost in reverse order, since the two noble houses are close together in the nobler section of Rivendell, we will revisit Salin as you hear, while you're enjoying your breakfast, 3 loud knocks on the heavy knockers on your front door.
I wait a moment to see if somebody else will go get it and really hope that knock goes away.
You wait a moment as you continue to eat, and you hear another loud, Miss Helibaniel.
If an eye roll could be audible, it would be in this situation. I think Salin, I pushed myself backwards away from the table with just the and I'm gonna walk over to the door and just kind of fling it open. Yes.
And you see before you a courier, well-dressed, high collar, as with most things in Rivendell, very ornate and pretty. Short blonde hair. And he's looking at you. You are taller than this man.
Yes.
So he has to kind of look up. Because, apologies, Miss Helabaniel, but it is your assignment day. We need you in the courtyard as soon as you're able.
Not answering the question, and gesturing to his outfit for a moment. This is a bit much, isn't it?
Well, we are coming up on a grand celebration. This was, I did not pick this myself.
Not answering the question, I kind of gesture up and down at his outfit. This is a bit much, isn't it?
Yes, well, we are coming up on a rather grand celebration. I did not pick it myself. This is my
I'm
uniform.
sure you didn't. Somebody probably much more important than you picked it.
Yes.
Yes. That's a shame, really. You should probably try and speak up more about that.
Oh, it's quite comfortable. It is rather ornate.
Right. Sorry, where am I needed?
We do need you in the courtyard as soon as you are able.
That's this morning, I'm
Yes.
assuming. Right.
Imminently.
Yeah, I'll be there shortly. I'll arrive
Wonderful.
when I'm ready.
Very well. Thank you. And they scurry off.
And the door just closes behind me. And I go back to my breakfast and finish it before I go outside.
Wonderful. I love that. This poor courier. They have to now make their way down to where the Cassiel house is. Are you both outside at the moment? Oh no, one of you is in the smithy.
Yes.
I don't know if they're going to know where to find you.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
we will have the courier find Haven as they are training. You see this young, kind of out of breath elf at this moment, kind of run up to you. Miss Cassiel, there you are. You are needed for assignment day in the courtyard as soon as possible.
Actually, you're talking to yourself because at this moment,
Oh,
Haven
no!
has actually run to the smithy
Miss Cassiel!
to bang on the door of Galleon's smithy like this. Galleon! Galleon!
What is it? My goodness, you make such a ruckus. I am trying to focus on getting this armor finished. What?
I need
Is
you.
it?
I was up too late with Salin. Up fighting and sort of going over some things that we were learned last time. We were training in the proving grounds, and look at the glass blade. I think it's cracked. And she procures this like giant sword that looks like it's made of crystal. And in the inlay, there is a giant sort of white stone that just sort of looks sort of milky. And she's like, "Look at her. Can you fix it?"
Wait, hand it over. Hand it over.
Yeah.
How on earth? You're supposed to be able to wield these weapons. You've been trained for years, yes? How on earth did you chip this blade already?
It's Salen's fault. I swear.
What did you hit her armor or her sword?
We were trying a new move. It was actually experimental, and we thought we'd be good at it. And I was actually kind of surprised that she hit it so well. She has a big freaking sword, and I have to come at it differently since I have two. She has the one, but I have two. But she has the one.
So it is Salen who lacks the skill in wielding a weapon. I see.
No, I'm not saying she lacks the skill. I don't want to come in after me with it. Attitude problem. I love her. But, we both tend to go in. You know how we go in, especially when it's late at night when we should be sleeping. It was rather late. We were trying some new stuff. We won't do it again.
Hush. I
We'll
must
fix it.
concentrate so I can fix what you have just done to my beautiful handiwork.
God. And we're sort of standing. So we're standing in Galen's smithy.
You can make a crafting roll again to see if you can fix this.
I'm going to have
Don't
to.
mess up my stuff.
Try not to mess up what I have already done, dear sister.
That's the truth.
Oh, okay. I had a 9 that I rolled on one die, but I got a 12.
Oh,
which
beautiful.
is a success, correct?
What's your strength again?
And then adding the others, it's an additional 9 to that.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I know this blade like the back of my hand. I did craft it myself after all.
So
How are you
without
doing?
issue. Yeah.
So basically she's taking the time to kind of heat the blade, making sure that it's the perfect like now it's like probably that red that you see when something is heated to perfection. Then she's taking her hammer again, but she's also making sure to be very careful and making sure that the edges are not no longer chipped, that it's smooth, and that she's going about it with her tools to make sure that while it's cooling, before it cools completely, she's able to get the work done in order to fix what her dear sister did to this beautiful blade.
Crystal, the glass blade, we call it.
Yes.
Haven's sort of leaning over your shoulder, like too close, watching you. Are you almost done? Are you almost done?
Yes, I
How
would
much
be
more do you
done
have
a
to
lot
do?
sooner if your breath were not on my neck.
Sorry. I'll back
Yes.
up. Got it.
All right. Let it cool a little bit further before you put it away, and it'll be fine. But try
Yes.
not to repeat the same maneuvers.
Yeah. Thank you. It looks nice. It looks good. This is perfect. Salin, I'm coming for you.
No. No.
Okay. Right.
And
I will have to have words with
chided,
Salem.
as you're being chided, there is a kind of feeble knock on the smithy door.
What is it now? I don't know.
Miss Cassio? You hear a very out of breath voice.
The armor for the god is not finished yet. I still have a lot
That's
of
not
work
why I'm
to do.
here. Are you both there?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. Can you open the door?
It
don't
Do
depends
you
understand.
not
on
have
you guys.
arms to open it yourself?
I mean, it is your property. I don't want to go about opening doors that aren't mine.
Since you had me fix your blade, you go. Open the door.
Wait a minute. I read an ancient sort of story that demons, when they want to come in your place, they ask to be invited in. Do you think we should invite them in?
What story are you referring to? Did you speak with that Narwin at the library? Did she tell you something about some
Yes.
book on demons?
She did. She always talking about demons.
She usually doesn't talk at all, but I figured that you asked her about some type of scary stories and she pointed you in that direction. Something with demons.
She doesn't talk, but when she does talk, she talks about demons.
Every time I go into the library, she never speaks to me, so except for a nod here and a point there if I need to get direction on where to go.
Is someone still at the door?
Hello,
They're
are you
still
are
there.
you still
Can
in
you
there?
please open the door, sister?
We are in
Alright,
quite a
right.
hurry.
She hoists her sword. Reaches the door handle. Is there a door handle? What is it? A sliding door? What kind of door is it?
It's a handle. It's like it's a heavier. I will say that it is a heavier door. So I think that's probably maybe why the person didn't want to open the door, because it's a heavier door. You definitely require some strength.
Okay. Haven opens the door, and whoever's the door finds the blade of the sword pointed right at their nose.
Okay, good morning to you two. Okay, you're both in here, good. It is your assignment day. You are expected in the courtyard as soon as, please stop pointing that at me.
Wait, how much time do we have? I mean, and then you would see basically just like where there's like just like all types of like just dark suit and like from fire and like just she's dirty and like kind of greasy. So she definitely, because she's not in her normal nice attire, she's actually in her smithing, like leathers and such. So yeah, she looks very much dirty and not put together. So she's panic. You see the fear of like, I have to be around people looking like this.
Do you have a moment? My sister's a grease monkey.
You are needed imminently. The assignments have already begun, as it were.
What should we bring with us? Just our person?
Just yourselves. You will have time to. Well, I'm not sure what your assignment is. I am just here to bring you there. I'm not sure what your assignment will require, but I'm sure you will have plenty of time to come back and pack or do whatever it is that you need to do.
All right, but I do want to mention that I am not on active duty. I am one of the Dauntless for the Crown Guard, and I am not on active duty. However, if I am being summoned to the courtyard by somebody who is of higher station, I don't mind attending. That is all. You may go.
Oh, okay. And he just runs off.
Okay, so sister, what I'm gonna have you do what you do best. Run your mouth for several minutes. Distract them. Make sure that they are not aware that I am not there when I'm supposed to be there, in order for me to not look like this.
But that's
Please?
what I do best, is it?
Among other things, you have other talents, but you also too are very good at the gift of gab. So please do that for me, so that way they don't notice
What?
my tardiness. My tardiness.
Oh, you mean at the court? You want me to go to the courtyard without you?
Yes. Distraction. You do
Don't you
that
think
very
you'll
well.
notice you're not there? All right. I can do that. I
Make
can do
sure
that.
they don't know, because you are distracting them with your talented wordiness, all of what you do on a normal basis, like you just did.
Thank you.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that you don't forget to bring with you, with that armor, whatever it is you're crafting right now, don't forget the red sword. The one with the red rune that the Ents gave me the last time I was in the Lone Lands.
Well,
It's
it's not
ready,
quite
right?
finished, no.
What?
I have to
It
finish the
needs-
armor before I finish the blade. The blade takes much more time.
For those who are watching, my sister Galen is crafting another sword for me, and it is a red blade. We call it the Blood Soul Blade. It is sharp and it is red, and it's adorned with a rune that I got the last time I was off in the Lone Lands with the Crown Guard. All right then, but before we do any assignment, I need that blade, and with a flourish.
Yes, you know that I always finish my work. But because I take pride in everything I do, it will be finished when I say it's finished. Not a moment sooner,
Damn.
not a moment less.
Okay, I'm going to go find Salin and show her my blade. Oh wait, is the person waiting at the front door still?
No, they've run off. They're gone.
Okay, she's gonna take
Shoo,
off
shoo, shoo,
with her blade.
I have to go. I
find
have to go
Salin.
back. I have to go back to our house. So Galen's like picking up her things, and she's basically trying to rush to like leave, and while kind of pushing her sister out the door to like close it and lock it.
Amazing. So at least 3 of you are heading towards the courtyard. I would assume. I'm not sure what Salen's doing.
I think it's an eventually, like, she finishes her breakfast and then it's like, make sure armor looks very polished and put together, that despite how she may feel inside or how she talks to people, that must look good, because there are eyes on her that way about how she needs to present herself. So sword on her back, gives herself one long look over in a looking glass and just a short curt nod, and then it's out the door. Breakfast is left on the table, absolutely does not tidy it up, and then walks towards the courtyard.
Goodness. And Narwin, are you hurrying to the courtyard, having been told this is an imminent need for your presence, or are you kind of leisurely making your way through Rivendell?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's leisurely. This is not leisure. But I am moving. Slowly sipping my tea as it cools.
Oh, I love that. As you all find your way to the courtyard in the middle of Rivendell, it is a grand open plaza with a fountain in the middle. There is a crowd. It is thinned at this point as people have already received their assignments, people that were on time. You do see one very tall, haughty elf, long, pale white hair, who is reading off of a list. And I think it is this moment you, Haven, catch your family's name as both you and your sister are called forward, along with Salen, Helibaniel, and Narwin.
Hi.
Hello.
We're proud to be here representing the Castiel family. At the moment, my sister is running just a tiny bit late. Is that going to be a problem?
I suppose not, but she really should be on time. There is a sense of pride in being. These are rather high-end assignments. It is an honor to be given one from Lord Elrond.
I think she's making armor pieces for one of his servants or for him himself. I don't know. But she'll be here momentarily, I promise.
I would love you to make a persuade roll.
Okay, so 1d12 and how many d6s?
I don't think y'all get any d6s on persuade, actually.
Oh no. Oh yeah,
no.
Oh boy. Okay, let's see. And I
You
have
can
to
spend
beat...
a point of hope if you want to add a d6.
Okay. And I have to beat my wits? Or
You have to beat your wits, TN. What'd you get?
Oh no, 1 below.
Oh no! What did you get on your feet die, though?
On my feet die, I got a 7.
Oh, okay. You always want to roll your feet die because you can get a 12 and automatically succeed regardless.
Okay.
So you sort of hem and haw and say, she's maybe making armor for Elrond himself. And you go, I don't think he'd put in an order. She really should be here. Do you know when she will be here? We do have many assignments still to get through.
I'm here. And then you see that she's now running. All you see is like these long dreadlocks, like this light brown, golden, like toned hair flowing back behind her. She's running. She's hiking up her dress. It's this really beautiful, elegant, like sea blue fitted gown with long bell sleeves. It's flowing behind her with the speed that she's moving, but it still looks very elegant the way that she's like running. And please forgive my sister. I was actually just a little bit behind, yes, but I believe what my sister was saying, yes, was that I was taking care of things for the god, and therefore that explains my tardiness here. But it is an honor. And then she's going to like curtsy, kind of like a low bow, to try to make up for the fact that she's obviously late. And she also, when she bows, she's gonna basically pull a piece of bread because she didn't eat anything, and she's gonna like stick it in her mouth and then rise up and straighten herself up and slightly kind of try to hide the fact that she's chewing.
Excellent. This man has too much to do today. I don't think he's paying any mind to your chewing.
Good.
And he's quite old. Okay, yes, we have Haven and Galen, the 2 Castiels. Narwin, are you here?
I am.
Excellent.
And you just see her very curmudgeonly holding this now empty cup and like offers it to him because she's done with it.
Thank you. And he'll take it and just kind of like set it on the table next to him. And let's see, that's 1, 2, 3. Salen Helibaniel, are you here?
You just hear 2 clinks of a sword on the ground. And then Salen kind of steps forward and goes, yes, I've been here the whole time.
Excellent. All right. You 4 have been tasked, and he like unrolls a sheet of parchment.
No. I work alone.
Well, according to this today, you do not, my dear.
A shame, really.
There's a very pointed gaze for a moment at Salen before she looks back to this gent who is reading us these assignments and like narrows her eyes.
If you have an issue with it, you can take it up with Lord Elrond himself, but he is quite busy today.
I plan to.
Very well. As I was saying, your assignment today, You four have been personally selected and tasked with going to Karok and retrieving the finest honey from the Bjornings.
I'm needed for honey.
I'm sorry,
You dragged
what?
us all the way from the smithy to get honey?
That is what it
I don't
says.
mean to question Elrond.
No, I
I
do mean to question. Like, you see Salen just gesture to her armor. I do not fetch honey.
It says right here, and he does like show the assignment and your names.
I shoot a glance over to Haven, as you know, like with warriors of, or fighters of our station being called to do something. So what would seem so menial, just an eyebrow raised between the two of us.
And they look like this.
And I think it's. And I look back at the gentleman reading the. Surely my father would have something to say about where my skills are better placed.
Again, if you do not care for this assignment, you can take it up with Lord Elrond. He did select these personally.
I am a lore keeper,
Pardon?
not a beekeeper.
I don't think you're expected to be a beekeeper. I think you are expected to travel and fetch honey.
I figured it out. Perhaps it is a person named Honey.
Sister,
That's even worse.
I don't believe that is the situation here.
What do you
Well,
think the situation
is one of us better suited to go
Honey,
get
just
honey, and the rest of us are protection? Is that what seems to, I cannot imagine why Haven and I would be asked to do this.
But I am, even though I'm also too working on weaponry and armor for the guard.
I don't explain what you do with your time. I only know what I do with my time.
If looks could kill, I think Narwin would be watching this whole thing, and just like there is a disdain and a dread.
Elves are the best.
You are so sad.
I
The worst are the best.
literally keep the history of Rivendell, of Middle Earth, and you want me to fetch honey.
I don't want you to. Elrond.
Where's Elrond?
does.
Where is he?
I believe he is in his chambers at the moment.
Well, according
Can
to
we
my
request
my
an
sister-
audience?
You certainly can try. He is rather busy today with the feast coming up and everything.
Narwin is probably more capable of going to get to honey since you have been telling ghost stories in the library. I don't believe
don't
that's
tell
very
important.
stories in the library. Who?
My dear sister told me that you apparently are speaking of demons and ghosts and.
It appears
God
that your
forbid.
sister is quite the storyteller.
Oh, I am? I'm learning all sorts of new things I'm good at today.
At this point, I think Salen is backing up, kind of like keeping half an eye on the party and watching this this gentleman who has read off the scroll. What I have found is that if you want to change things, it's generally better to start moving in the direction towards change. So I'm going to start walking towards where I know Elrond's study is. And I go, are we all going, or is it just me?
Oh, I'm definitely going. Haven
Going.
hoists her sword. Looks
You
at
are
Galen.
going to confront Elrond, sister.
Oh no, not a confrontation.
Not
I don't.
confront, requesting an audience. To ask more about this honey. Maybe there's something special about it after all. Maybe it's not just something for his toast points.
You say this like Elrond is scary.
I think at that point, Narwin kind of like hikes up her dress a little bit and like starts stomping the yard towards Elrond.
I believe that she is more scary than Elrond is at the moment, so I am more concerned with the person who is angrily marching in that direction.
Well, then perhaps we should go protect Elrond then. And I start taking off behind Narwin.
Yeah, we definitely head off.
And it is not far to Elrond's abode. It is the last homely house. It is the largest building in all of Rivendell, and it is not far from this courtyard. In fact, it sits on this courtyard. You do not have to go very far. And as you are leaving, you do hear the man kind of huff and start assigning other citizens. You make your way up to Lord Elrond's estate. The doors are wide open, as there are people going in and out, hustling and bustling, getting ready for this feast. Even though it is 2 weeks away, there is still much to do. If you were to make a straight beeline through the estate, you would reach where he holds court.
That is exactly where I am going. I am not wasting time. I do not mince words. I am busy.
I follow the very angry, very busy bookworm scholar with a big sword into support of whatever she's doing.
You are
regardless of the
definitely,
fact
like, yeah.
that we have not said a word to each other at this point. Our values and our goals are aimed and aligned, so we're going forward.
Galen is definitely nervously eating the rest of that piece of bread as she's following behind, hiking up one side of her dress so she can keep up with those who are marching very pointedly in that direction, trying to keep up with her sister, making sure she's in
Who is
tow.
swinging a sword at the same time, like just sort of like absentmindedly swinging a sword, like.
You are definitely drawing some glances at this point, because the people that are within this hall at the moment are servants. They are either nobles or others that are not swinging swords around in a very public space. So you get a couple of odd glances your way, but you are heading straight towards the large, ornate double doors at the far end of this main hall. As you approach, Narwen leading the way.
I'm not even knocking. I am opening the door.
Okay. You go to open the door, and a spear enters your vision as guards that are posted at the door block your way.
I say, go ahead, try it, and your and my history will be gone forever. Release your spear from my person.
Please make a persuade or awe check.
Okay,
Whichever
I am
you
going
prefer.
to do.
Can I?
Awe.
Is there a manner of assisting with awe? Like,
There
is there
is not, but you can also make an attempt on the same type of action. It is one roll per person trying to do something.
So
I think-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Raven. You
I
first.
am rolling for my strength target number.
Yes.
Okay. So I am rolling 1d12 and
Mhm.
2d6s because I have 2 points in awe.
Yes, you do. Love that.
Okay, so that is 12.
What'd you need to hit?
14.
You can spend a point of hope and roll another d6 if you like.
You know what? I'm going to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to do that. I'm spending a point of hope because
And
I am not.
I think seeing that little moment of kind of like Narwin kind of giving up the gumption to do it, I'd also like to make an awe check and just like eyebrow raised, hand on hilt of sword.
You are
Just like,
saying-
are you really gonna say that to her?
With that extra d6, I have 17 now. So I
Beautiful.
surpass.
You have intimidated a guard.
Good.
So we're gonna roll 1d12, which is a 7. I also have 2 in awe, so I'm gonna roll 2d6. That is a 19, needing to beat a 12.
Jeez. Between the two of you, there is palpable ferocity and frustration coming off of you, emanating from your very beings. And the guards just kind of whoop, release their spears, and they even open the door for you.
Thank you.
Right this way, ma'am.
I will say that that Galen, when they're entering, Galen turns to the guard. My apologies for her rudeness. I'll sharpen your blade later because it's pretty dull. And then she's gonna keep going inside.
Thank you, miss. You enter this room where Elrond holds court. It is opened at the back wall with these wonderful arches looking out onto gardens and trees and just a beautiful array of nature. Elrond himself is sitting in a high-backed chair, surrounded by other high-backed chairs, where he seems to be in council with other officials and nobles.
Is my dad there?
Let's see, is your dad there? Evens or odds?
Oh, evens.
Your dad is there.
Sick one. Great.
And I think he makes eye contact with you and kind of has a like, what are you doing here sort of glance at you.
I put an eyes over to Narawen and I go,
Okay.
And Narwin, very like single-minded, hyper-focused on this one directive right now, marches up. Lord Elrond, we need to talk.
Yes, how can I help you?
Honey,
Yes.
why?
And he dismisses the officials that are sitting around him with sort of a wave. He does motion for your dad to stay, since this is now a family affair.
absolutely.
The officials leave, the doors are closed, and it is now your own private audience with Lord Elrond. Yes, honey. That is what you had been assigned. It was so as to not worry the other assignees, and I had hoped you would leave without much fuss and understand the assignment once you got there. But we have had ill tidings from Carrock, from what they have observed out of Mirkwood. We wanted you all to go and investigate these ill tidings, as the blight should not have reached this far north, and we have concerns. We figured that you four would be best suited with your knowledge and your weapons prowess.
Then maybe you should lead with that, or state that the assignment needs to be discussed further. But honey is not something I will waste my time on.
That is understandable, and I do apologize for having it be less than straightforward. We just didn't want to incite a panic in the midst of the preparations.
Fine. I turn, not even looking at anybody, and I just leave.
She's having a good day.
I am moving like
It's a
so.
good day.
Basically, what I'm doing, because I'm very lone wolf, is I'm just going back to my with no regard for anybody, going back to my room, and I'm starting to pack like different tomes and texts and blank journals and stuff, so I can. It is my pack for recording when I'm out in the field.
Did you all have any other questions?
Haven's gonna just sort of look up because she was watching her sister eat the Danish and was wondering why she wasn't given a piece of it. But she's gonna say, I actually don't have any questions, but I'm glad that you did clarify, because we sort of thought we were going to like the market or the grocery store. We can get perfectly good honey there.
Well,
But
to
now
be
that I
fair, the
know
Bjornings
this-
do have the finest honey. If you could grab some, that would be appreciated, but it is not the entirety of the mission as it stands.
We will do that as well. No problem. So should we make haste and be on our way? And she's going to give a look to Galen.
Well,
Considering...
I would like
Yes, go.
I would like further information about this blight and any other details. It seems very. I don't know. It's very mysterious, all of it, and the fact that you originally said honey and now it's not honey. I'd just any details to assist us on whatever mission you would have us
Of
go
course,
on.
of course. As you might or might not know, we had pushed back the forces at Dol Guldur quite some years ago at this point. That is in the south of Mirkwood. Kark, which is just over the High Pass, has had some odd sightings in and around their village that give us concern. We want you simply to go investigate and report back. Hopefully there is nothing at all the matter, but we want to be sure with the feast so close at hand and so many people of high import coming to our city.
The as he says this, the last time I would have been out on tour with the army, or with any sort of patrols or whatever missions I was sent out on, was there any like ill omens or any bad tidings or any difficulties that had been noticed in that region before, or is this new?
This is new to you.
Okay.
There had been stores, but they had always been in the south,
Right.
hundreds of miles away.
Okay. So nothing this far north and nothing of this
Never this far.
magnitude.
Right.
Okay. Did they say what it was? Or did they just say it was bad?
It seems to be affecting their... I don't quite know how to put it. Their Nermir, the ones that tend to their bees.
So you are sending us to look at the honey, then?
In a manner speaking, yes, since that is where their concern lies. That has been the first instance, the first physical instance, something more than stories.
So I'm going to use all of the skill that I have to go and investigate bad honey. All right. Well, if that is where my sword is best pointed, then I will go and keep Narwin safe as she does her investigating. Father, is there anything you need from me before I leave?
Just do as you're told.
Of course. Good tidings to you and to you, Lord Elrond.
And he bows his head.
Thank you for your time. And she bows.
I do almost just kind of it's a bow of not so, like, not necessarily not respect, but it's just more of a like. And then
It is smaller than it ought to be.
absolutely
Wow.
smaller than it ought to be, and I just kind of like I just turn tail and take off after Narwin.
Mhm.
All right.
Well-
You to pack? Yes.
I think you've answered all the questions that I've had. The fact that it's dangerous, so I too will take my leave and will make haste north as soon as possible.
Wonderful. The high pass should not be difficult this time of year. It is summer. The snow should be slight. Hopefully the journey is not too perilous for the four of you.
Could I ask one question though?
Of course.
Could you give us maybe one piece of advice as we begin this journey?
Oh.
Anything that we could know, anything we could possibly prepare for?
I wouldn't go into this assignment head first. Perhaps talk with the Bjornings before diving into what might be happening. They might have a little more intel than we do at this moment.
Very well. All right then. Lord Elrond, Salin's father, nice to see you again. And she's going to...
Thank you again for your time, and I apologize for the abruptness and rudeness of some members of our party.
Which is quite all right. Thank you.
The energy of Galen apologizing for Lord Helaben's daughter is iconic. It's amazing.
Shoot.
Oh, wow.
And he kind of like waves you off as he waves in the people that he was talking to before being interrupted. And life continues. You all are free to pack. You do know that getting to Karok takes about 3 days, which does lead you over the high pass through the Misty Mountains. So pack accordingly.
I take very little. I think there's some, would be a very small kit. What else do I need but my sword and myself and my skill? So it's very much a like, I have what I need right here. I take any, life accoutrement that I might need. And then I think I would actually go and maybe for the first time in maybe 50 years, go down towards the library where Narwin is. And I would kind of try to see if I could figure out where she went.
The library is open specifically to noble families at any point.
Yes.
So you would come in and see that the library itself is much, much neater and much more dignified in its organization than her personal residence. And you find her at a table with her back against a long bookshelf that is dozens of feet high. And she has a myriad of different encyclopedias. She has a small satchel of healing herbs. She is refilling the lantern, a very small, ornate lantern with oil. And then turns to look at you very neutrally before moving towards the back of the library and opening the doors that lead to a set of stairs. And there is an elk that is there. Very majestic, pure white, with long white horns and very deep brown eyes. And if you follow her, you'll find there's a tenderness there that nobody is accustomed to, as she kind of just places her hand on his snout and smiles. Well, old friend, it looks like we are going to survey some more.
I was going to ask if you needed help carrying anything, but I see that you're going to be fine.
There's panic on her face for a second as she kind of just turns around to look at you very sharply. Do you make it a habit of intruding on others?
This is a library. I can go where I please.
Fine. And she once again stomps up the stairs and moves past Celine to grab a small satchel, and she turns and looks and just kind of takes a deep breath. I suppose I should thank you. It doesn't mean I will. And she moves back down and kind of just ties everything up to this elk.
Well, don't thank me yet. Maybe after what I have to say. I realize it's been a couple hundred years since we've actually spoken or had to be around each other at any sort of gathering, or one at least where we've acknowledged each other. And so I figured I would try and, for the sake of our party, extend some form of olive branch. But if that's not what you wish, then I can leave right now.
I will work together with you and the others on this mission, but after that, you will all leave me to my studies.
I never got books. But I'm sure you know that.
Would you believe that I'm not surprised?
Not in the slightest.
Delightful.
They're
Books
beautiful.
are the only thing that makes sense. They are chronicles of who we are, where we came from. They are us. Everything. And it is my sworn honor and duty to make sure that our history is never forgotten. Now, it is no sword, but the word is just as powerful. Words are the things that lead to wars. And with that, she kind of just she almost straightens herself up a little bit more. And nods before looking back to you.
A similar nod of probably the first respect you've seen Celine show anybody today. A small nod is, well, with the way that you wield them, I am not surprised that you could start wars. So, I will leave you to your space, and I'm glad that whatever discord that there has been between us in the past stays there. And I wanted you to know that as it is my duty to protect noble families of Rivendell, you will be under my protection. I know you don't need it, but it will be there regardless.
Well, Celine, I do feel a bit better knowing that I have a strong sword at my side. So thank you.
Not that you'd ever need me for anything. So I'll leave.
That is also correct. And like they move apart, Narwin just kind of continues to like pack, and there's a small ice box almost right next to the pen in which her elk is, hanging out at. And she grabs a couple of different vegetables and like just starts feeding him and like getting him ready for the journey.
I think it's with that tender moment we will pan over to our two sisters and see how they are preparing for this journey.
Okay. Haven is at their family homestead, and it's sort of spread out because there are like 5 different like houses on the land, and she's in the one where she tends to do most of her business, whatever it is, and she's packing a lot of things. She has this grand sort of red gown that matches her sister's perfectly. The only difference is she has fashioned most of it into legards, so it's like a family sort of dress or gown, if you will, but she has these leather legards, and then she's proudly putting her armor on, something she takes great pride in how it looks and how she feels in it. And she looks in the mirror and pulls herself together. And she has she has about 5 or 6 different like leather belts on because she likes belts and the way they look. So after she's done getting dressed and she has the glass blade, she hoists it up and puts it in the sheath that's on her back. She's like an X sheath. And she walks out the door and closes it. And then she skips happily to Galen's smithy because she wants to see if Galen is done with her second sword.
Yes.
It's me.
I know that it's you. Why must you do that every time?
I just want to make sure you can hear me. Make sure you can hear me at the door.
I don't believe that there's ever been an issue with my hearing. Maybe yours, but not mine.
Yes, there is actually.
Because you never seem to listen to me every time I tell you, just enter like a normal person.
How does a normal person enter?
By opening the door.
The door is heavy, Galen.
I do that for a reason, to keep other people out, not you. Maybe you're like one of the only few people that I allow in my space.
Maybe I need a key. Maybe I need my own key to your smithy. Don't you think at this point in our relationship, I deserve a key to your smithy?
I did give you one. You lost it. So I shall make another.
Okay. I allow you to make another key for me.
It will be my pleasure to make you yet another key for you to misplace, sister. Anyway, yes, I have everything set aside here, and I'm sure Estel, and she reaches out to her beautiful elven bow that is golden, and it's just glimmering, and it has the different etchings and runes on it. Also, too, with the words in their language, Estel, on the handle area, and she's kind of gathering like rope and her arrows that she's putting into her quiver that has the Rivendell crest etched onto it, and it's beautifully woven as well. And she's heading over to where her work area is, where her sister's blade is basically kind of laying on a table nearby. Basically, there's a covering over it of fabric to protect the glass blade, but she uncovers that.
My God, it's beautiful.
Well,
it's gorgeous.
It is some of my best work. I will let you know that I wanted more time, specifically for this gym.
I did all the research in it. We looked at books.
But there was no information, or not enough. I still have no idea if placing this gym will be an asset or actually a detriment.
But when we put the moonstone in my crystal glass plate, look how wonderful it became. I mean,
But we knew the origins of the moonstone. We do not
Yes.
know. Again, it was the Ent that gave this to you?
Yes. So here's what happened. I was wandering through the forest when I was last on active duty. Of course, I like to wander off sometimes when I'm on duty. I shouldn't do that. but I
No, you
wandered
should
into
not.
this- But it's so interesting. I know it's my fault. But I wandered into this clearing and I thought it was a bunch of tall, old trees just there. But I realized that they were talking to each other, and it might have taken them 3 years to get a sentence out. I don't know. But one of them, 19 months later, put a finger up to his lips and handed me this red stone. And then 4 years later was able to tell me to get out of the clearing. I don't look a gift horse in the mouth. So of course I ran back to my regiment. I brought it back to you. And you do what you do best. So lay the stone in the sword.
Well, it is
We will
there.
deal with whatever happens afterwards.
It's there, and this is some of the finest work, as I said, that I've ever done.
It's glimmering. Now, when you said you were reading, I don't know if you went to the library and bumped into Raven and she bit your head off. However, did you find anything that resembled that red runestone? Maybe it's just like a costume jewelry sort of trinket souvenir, lone souvenir shop sort of thing.
No, if
Nothing?
you're referring to Narwin and her pointing in the direction of the books that I needed, that was pretty much the only interaction that we had. But even with said book in hand, again, there was not much information to go off of. All I can say is, wield it with caution, dear sister.
I will. And she snatches it off the whetstone. And this stone it is bright. It's
Careful.
It's as red as a ruby, but inside of it, it's like sort of this, I don't know how to describe it, just sort of as if there was a gel-like liquid in it moving. But it's so gorgeous, and you even made the blade red as well. It'll make a lovely companion to the glass blade. We will call her the Blood Sword Blade.
Yes, I believe even Celebrimbor himself would be jealous if he were around, of course.
I must find Salin immediately. But I promise, I will wield this one with caution, especially because I've never used it before.
Yes, and just please, when you're doing your sparring, try not to be as reckless as before, or tell Salin to do more training in order to not wield it like a barbarian.
Oh, but do I love wielding like a barbarian. You know what? I will save this sword for our journey. For now, I will just go and show it to Selin and perhaps get a few more hits in with the glass blade because I do believe I deserve it.
All right. Well, I'm
before
going
we
back
leave
to
up-
get some snacks from our house
Oh.
for the road.
Oh, you pack some snacks in your big giant purse. I'll come by and see you after I go see Selin. And don't forget that key, she yells as she walks. out of the smithy.
Yes. Try
Sure.
not to break the blade, please.
Haven, as you are walking out, I would love for you, as you are holding this brand new sword, to make an awareness check, please.
No. Okay.
Too wrapped up in the blade.
Make it a favored check because this is a rune that is yours. You have spent a lot of
Yes.
time thinking on this.
So I can take the highest of the two, correct?
Yes, please. On the feet die, yes.
Yes. Okay, there's a 9 and 11. So
Total?
I'm taking the 9, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, because
Well-
11 is 0.
Yeah. Okay, and then So the 9 plus 2, 2 success dice, right?
Yes,
Oh, 1, 2.
on yours, I believe.
Yeah, just 2. I have 2 pips.
Mhm.
9 plus 9, I beat it. 18, 14.
Excellent. I'm going to say, as you were so excited when you grabbed the blade that as you're walking out, it has now hit you that as you're holding it, there is almost a constant static that is almost vibrating up and through your arm. It's not painful, it's not harsh, but there's something almost alive about this blade.
What?
You can almost feel it breathing.
Due to this, she must have done something different to it. I'll have to ask her when I see her again. She's always trying new things she learns at the library when she's able to actually get in the front door. Oh well. And she sort of just cocks her head interestingly and puts it back in the crossblade behind her back and keeps walking towards Salen's, wherever she lives.
Excellent. And where would we find you all as you're heading towards where you think Salen might be? Where are Salen and Narwin at this point?
Salen's leaving the library and probably would quickly swoop past her house and to grab a last couple things. And would we be making this journey on foot or would we be riding?
You would be making it on foot, but you do have an elk at your disposal, apparently.
This is true. Not that any of us are going to try and ride Narwin's elk
No.
at all. So packing for foot travel, I think I would pack pretty lightly, as I said, whatever I would need. And I think as I would kind of walk through my house, there would be a picture of my mother over the mantle, and I would just kind of put a hand on the mantelpiece in a moment where I know nobody else could see, that nobody else, not even my father, would see this moment as he's out with Elrond. And I would take, there would always be fresh flowers on the mantelpiece, and I would take one flower and I would tuck it inside my armor. And then completely make sure it's covered, that nobody could see any form of vulnerability or anything like that. And I would probably walk out of my house, which is probably where Haven would find me as I would be coming out.
Real quick before y'all find each other.
Yes.
Narwin, having prepared everything that she needs for the journey, would sit at a desk in the library and pen a note. And it would say, "Mother, Father, it is this date. If you do not hear from me in 3 months' time, send someone for my position. Love always, Narwin." And she would fold it, go back downstairs, hop on, I've named him Baelior. Hop on his back and ride towards the courtyard, finding a courier of sorts to be able to send this off to Valinor.
Oh, rest, Miss Redway. I can take that for you.
Thank you. Right.
So
Goodbye. And she rides. She rides into the courtyard.
You're just on your elk in the courtyard waiting for all of your companions.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
She's early. She's the first one there.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And I think as the courier's probably walking away, probably Haven is approaching from one direction and Salen is approaching from the other. And there's just kind of like this look of like, oh, you have a new toy. Like a new, like, eyes up across the courtyard.
Yeah, you read it in her face. And she walks over. She's like, "Salen, last night's proving grounds was interesting, wasn't it? I was quite surprised at some of the moves you did."
I mean, it's been a long time since you've been on active tour, so.
It's true. Don't you wonder? Well, I mean, yes, of course you wonder what they're going to have us do, but why us for? You know?
Well, I guess logically it makes sense. My father is one of the trusted generals in Rivendell, so I am likely a good person to go in his stead, as he is needed here. You are skilled with the blade. Your sister is
amenable and wonderful at her skill of crafting weapons, and can be very useful if we come across anything that, a sword can't fix. And Narrowen would know more about the country or the history than any one of us. I have spent very little time in books because that doesn't get me anywhere with this, as she gestures to her blade as well.
And also, don't forget with Narrowen, if the books don't work, our shop tongue will fix it.
Yes, I believe she and I just had a conversation about that this morning, and I am curious to see which direction she decides to wield it in as we go on our journey, because for the next 3 days it is just going to be us. So, well, at least I know that there's two of us in good fighting style, and I'm always happy to share the battleground with you.
I'm ready for it. Because you're right, you said it's been a while. I joined joined the Crown Guard, as you know this, because of my brother, Orem. And
Yes.
I have reasons that, unspoken reasons that make me want to sort of live in his honor. Maybe one day find out exactly what happened to him and why. But if it means going on, I guess, excursions like this, then so be it. We might have fun, the four of us, doing what we do best. And we'll force Norwin to have fun as well, without the books sometimes,
As Haven talks about following in the footsteps of her brother, Salen casts a glance back towards Elrond's house where she had seen her father.
I don't believe I have to tell you that I know very well about what it's like to walk in someone's shadow. So I understand. Your brother was a very fearsome warrior. I feel for that loss for you.
I miss him every day. And I know that, my family is the same. They've come, out of it because we are fighters and that's what we do. But his absence is noticed and felt every moment, every day. And I don't think I can live on this Middle Earth without finding out what really happened to Orin.
Well, best to point your sword in that direction and run.
Yes. Speaking of swords, I want to show you something that Galen made.
I think we spend the next couple moments
Yeah.
it's
Oohing
like
and
it's two kids playing with brand new toys. Like it's a brand new toy, and I think there is while Salen doesn't have a lot of kinship with a lot of people about a lot of things because of how high her nose is stuck up in the air about her own nobility, there is a moment of connection around specifically the sword and battle stuff with Haven. So I think we do that while we wait for Galen.
And Galen, how are you finishing your preparations?
So after she grabs various snacks from her house, because she's already packed her, the smithing and tinkering tools that she could would be okay for traveling, since obviously she can't take her normal equipment since it's too big to take on the road. She's taking what she can and putting that into her bag. After having gotten that, she does take some time to grab paper and quill, and she's writing a note to the one she trained under, Brandir, who came from Oregon before it fell. He had come back to Rivendell, where he had made Rivendell his home, and took Galen at a young age under his wing because of the fact that she showed such an interest in learning the ways, especially of her goal of becoming a master smith. And she writes to him, "If only you could see what I've made for my sister. hopefully after this journey I have a chance to show it to you. It's quite grand. I feel like I'm on my way of becoming a master, but there's yet so much more to learn. Until we see each other again. And then she just signs it, her name. And then she probably on the way would probably also to give it to a courier to give to.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll
If
take
you
care of that.
Don't mind. Give it to Sir Brandu for me.
Can do. Yes, ma'am.
And she kind of goes about her way. She stuffs her face with a pastry. So if she's rolling up to the rest of the crew, she's just like totally, that's the one thing, is that because she uses so much energy in her work, she's constantly hungry. All those calories are burned.
Carbs, yes.
Just
She's
carbs,
got her
carbs,
priorities straight. I
carbs.
get it.
Priorities.
Yeah.
You
The
gotta
most poverty
fuel.
elf ever.
I think Narwin sees Galen once again, like consuming something, and kind of just like, if it wasn't for your height and your ears, one would confuse you with a hobbit. I did not know it is right now.
Oh, I'm quite honored that you actually took the time to even speak with me, so I will take that as a compliment. Did you want a pastry as well?
No, I'm okay. And she like instantly like turns and
They're
like
quite delicious.
very stoically, very like monotonously, like no expression, just like moves behind Baelior and like makes sure that like she quadruple checks that she has all of her encyclopedias and things like that.
Oh, what a magnificent beast. Does it have a name?
Narwin kind of like peeks over like his side and looks at Galen, and very straight faced, like no fluctuation in her voice. Baelior. That's his name.
What a noble name. Well, hello, Baelior. And then she's going to kind of like try to reach out to touch his nose. But she's like hovering and like kind of looking, but it's almost like a playful, like trying to get a response out of Narwin because of the fact that Narwin is actually talking to her. So she finds it interesting.
Baelior has no problem like lifting his nose up into your hand and like kind of lets out a little huff as Narwin just kind of like blinks.
Would you like a treat as well, Baelior?
No, he would not. He
Oh.
has eaten, and he is on a strict diet of vegetables, no pastries.
Oh, I see. And then she leans close to like as if she's like kind of just putting her face close to the animal. She whispers into Baelior's ear, "Don't worry, I'll give you some later." And then she steps away and kind of does a little nod to Narwin as she goes to try to meet up with her sister.
Narwin is giving you a death glare, like not even hiding it.
So I think they like all convene. Yeah.
You are
I think
gathered?
I think we just start like silently as we all gather together as friends of convenience, or as, you know, companions of convenience. Or necessity, we walk out of Rivendell onto the road.
Amazing. And now we begin our journey. So, if anyone would like to be the guide for this part of the journey as you head towards the Misty Mountains, go ahead and make yourself known. Who's leading the way?
I would likely be the guide.
Yeah,
At this point have unrolled maps, and I have like
Darwin.
as I'm sitting on the back of Baelior, and as I'm doing that, I have rolled out like map upon map upon map of like, you know, there's the map that we see, and then there's like the underground maps, and then there are like shortcuts. So I am sitting there and meticulously planning like our first like course of action, our second, our third, different paths to travel as needed. I am very meticulous in this. And if you try to talk to me, I'm gone. You cannot reach me. I am hyper focusing on mapping this to be as fruitful and efficient as possible.
Go ahead, make a travel roll with an extra success die because you did mention you're using maps.
Okay, so 2 of the D12s.
That would be, yeah, do it favored and also add a success die
Okay.
because you are prepared.
I got a 10 and I got a 12.
Yay.
And
Oh, so
then
that's an automatic success, but now you can roll to see if you get like a great success.
okay. So the 2 die that I rolled it equals 8. So 12 plus 8 is 20.
Were either of those dies a 6?
No.
Okay, so it is a straight up success. You know where you are going, 100%. And your travel goes without issue. You make your way up to the very base of the Misty Mountains. You know where the high path is. You were able to make it up and over. It is summer. There's not a lot of snow. There's a little bit right as you crest over. It's not that bad. You're having no troubles. Would anyone like to make an explore roll to see if you notice anything?
Yeah, we're traveling north?
You're traveling
Like north.
East and north, yeah.
East and north. Okay, because I'm just wondering if Haven has been here on her
I think you've
travels.
absolutely crossed over the high path before. It is the only way to cross the
Okay.
Misty Mountains.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're doing a explore.
Yes.
That's a straight. That's
And you've been this way, so make it a favored roll.
Ooh, I like you. 12!
Woo! Excellent.
And a 5.
That's wonderful. You succeed. I will say, as you cross the high pass, you do notice that looking down into the valley on the other side of the mountain, you can look, there's a wide view. You notice where Karok is, down into the valley. It is the only settlement this far north in Mirkwood. You don't see as many chimneys. There's not a lot of signs of life as you would have expected. There's still some burning, but it does not, from this far away, it does not seem as lively as it should be.
Okay. She has this telescope thing, I guess. Right. Everyone, I noticed something, and she's going to relay this to the group. That's odd. Do you think it's abandoned? And she's going to hand Salen her telescope.
It was fine last time we came through here on tour. And with everything that Elrond was speaking of, the blight was much farther south. It should not be this far north. So this is new. This is a new development. Can I use my lookout? Can I use awareness to see if I can? Because if we've got a high ground over Karok, my sense would be is if something is approaching Karok or trying to assail Karok, that they also might be wondering, or this entities might have something trying to pounce on us on the way in. Can I use awareness to
Yes, please.
kind of take a look at my surroundings? Okay.
Go for it.
So that is favored for me. So I roll 2d12 and take the higher of the 2. Okay, that is an 8 on that die. So I'm going to roll 2d6 on top of that. And I have to beat my strength target score,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so all up, that is a 15, and my strength target score is a 12.
Beautiful. You succeed. You do not notice anything in or around Karok, nor in your direct vicinity. There are some tracks of wild animals. You see some paw prints, some hoof prints. Nothing that strikes you as particularly odd in your immediate surroundings.
Does it look like with those tracks and footprints that anything
like a group of, since Haven's noticed that there's not as many chimneys, did people leave? Like or do we have like a caravan of carts, or do we have a bunch of footpaths signaling that people have left?
No, it is purely wildlife.
Interesting. It doesn't look like people have left, so what you're noticing, Haven, is odd. Perhaps we make the trek down and we can inquire further.
Yes. Galen, Narwin, we're going to go.
I think hearing her name, she kind of just like shakes out of it because she, of course, has her nose in a book. And this particular book is almost like an encyclopedia of events that have happened that her like great grandparents before her have started and has been in her family for generations, and now she is the owner. So she's looking through to see if there's anything seasonal or like cyclic that this has come in waves, or like if there has been something that has happened like this before.
Make a horror roll.
Perfect. And that is favored. And I have 3 pips in there.
There's
Nice.
You got a lot going for you.
And my target is 12, so I'm ready.
You're done. You're good.
Okay, so that I got an 11 and a 9. I'm going with the 9. And then that's 12, 14. So 9 plus 14 beats the 12, and I cannot do math. what?
You're fine.
You're good. Were any of the D6s a 6?
Yeah, I got 2 6s.
Oh, that is an exceptional success. Holy
my-
cow.
This is why you keep the nerds.
You're reading and reading and reading, and when Haven says, that's odd, there's not as many signs of life, you note that in the early foundation of Dol Guldur, when the first men of that area got, for lack of a better word, infected, the settlements, one by one, were wiped out. They became sickly, they became unresponsive, and then they became corrupted. So this is kind of ringing true with that same pattern, maybe not as heavy of an influence, because the original settlements that were destroyed were wiped out near instantly. There still are signs of life in Karak. There are still chimneys lit. You can even see from this distance a little bit of movement. Okay. But knowing Karak, knowing the Bjornings, they are a lively people. They are a happy, joyous, jovial people. This strikes the group as odd.
Narwin closes that book and opens another, and a small vial of ink and a quill, and just starts writing. And as she does, she pauses only briefly to look up at everybody, very deadpan. It seems that they are truly under the influence of Dol Guldur again, and it's likely that is the reason why there is not so much life there. Though it's a slow trickle as opposed to a great washing. She pauses again in the middle of that and continues to write. She closes the book and like puts it back in, and like just doesn't finish her sentence at all.
At hearing that, Galen will actually go to inspect the tracks, almost as if this treating this like a hunting situation.
Yeah.
But specifically trying to make out not only the footprints, like if there's any abnormalities in the footprints, but also to just seeing what type of animals, if she's familiar with any of that. Specifically to that region, because she does read as well. Believe it or not, she has been in the library once or twice, or more than that. So she wants to try to kind of get a feel for what could be in the area.
You can make a hunting roll.
Yeah, and she's
awareness.
also gonna take some of the, like, if it's like the soil, to sniff as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's kind of that combination of like a hunter, like what that same kind of tracking sense.
Are you
Okay.
sniffing the sand, sister?
Shh. Quiet. I'm concentrating, sister.
See, it's not that kind of party, but all right.
Okay. So that is actually a 20.
Holy cow.
Ooh.
Any sixes on those D6s?
No. You know what? No, I forgot. It's 2. It's only 2. I was looking at the wrong attribute. So I'm sorry. Not attribute, the wrong skill.
Okay.
I don't have 3. So I'm going to keep it's 19.
Okay, that's still beautiful. I will say, as you are sniffing the dirt and checking tracks, it smells like dirt. It smells earthy. It smells natural. You do pick up on some of the scents of wildlife. It actually almost seems like there has been an influx of wildlife coming over the high pass, which is a little bit odd. Normally they stick to their forests. This almost feels like wherein before you all had been looking for a evacuation of people, this seems like it was almost an evacuation of animals over the high pass.
And specific animals?
Deer, lots of hoof prints. You might be able to discern the hoof prints between deer and boar. Couple of large wolf prints as well. And those do smell a little bit different. Those smell a little off. At least the dirt does, where they tread.
This is interesting, to say the least, and very concerning. The amount of animals that migrated from this area. Seems like they were running away from something.
Narwin looks up at you with interest and just wordlessly, is recording everything that you're saying.
Well, is it not the case that animals often have a early recognition of when things are turning sour, despite the fact that humanity often tends to try and persist? Animals
This
know
is
when
true.
to get out.
That is
This
correct.
is true.
That is why
But
I'm
also-
very concerned.
But also sometimes those animals are carrying humans. Let's not forget, depending on what kind of animal it is. Pack mules and such.
Well, there's some wolves, tracks of deer and boar in great numbers.
Shall we descend towards Karok and see if we
Yes.
can take this knowledge and see what applies?
But do we enter directly or do we sort of stealthily enter town?
Directly.
Directly?
At this point, we have no true cause for concern, and if they were to see 4 elves of Rivendell approaching, trying to keep themselves hidden, we might cause panic. And as Elrond said, we are here to look at the honey.
Oh, that's true. I don't have any pips and stuff either. All right, we go forward.
And you make your way down. It does take another day's journey. You have made camp for the night. The weather is wonderful. You run into no issues in that regard. The next day, probably around midday, you are on your approach to Karok. You are on the road. You can begin to see the tops of houses. And there are people moving about. Not quite so many. If you've been to Karok before, the mood is a little bit grim as you enter.
So I've probably been through Karok more recently.
I would say so, yeah.
Do I remember the name of the the highest official, the most important person in this village?
Yes, it is Bjorn.
Bjorn.
Mhm.
Okay. I would go up, and would I know where Bjorn lives, or would
Probably
I know
the biggest house all the way at the end.
Makes
yeah.
sense. I think Salen, just taking a cue, is it? Bjorn is the leader of Karok, and has spoken with any one of us who has come through in the past with hospitality and civility.
Yes, that's right. He is quite nice.
So, well, nice. Shall we perhaps see if he knows something that's going on?
Definitely, absolutely.
So Salen just kind of sword and over shield and back, and I'm keeping an eye out, I think, to look if there is anyone who is, we're elves of Rivendell. People look at us and are either scared or relieved. They're scared or relieved. That we're there.
Make an insight check.
Insight. Oh gosh.
Which is a heart
okay.
skill, my bad.
Oh no, that's okay.
I
We
love
love
that.
this. We love this.
Elves, not
Oh,
in tune with emotions.
I don't think there's any way I can beat my target number. There's
You can
truly
roll
no.
a 12 and get a success, like an automatic success. You can always try. There's no harm in trying.
I'm gonna.
I will
I
not
am
punish
going
you for a
to-
failure.
I think at this point, knowing the stink that I put up leaving Rivendell, I'm gonna try and surreptitiously make my father proud of me, maybe a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm also going to spend a hope to see if I can really try and get a lay of the land as we walk in, so that I don't mess up literally the first step in the village. Okay, let's roll 1d12. I'm not even kidding. That's a 12.
Yes!
Yes.
They've got
Automatic success.
Smile
Wonderful.
upon us.
Just cool as a cucumber. Just really trying to get a sense of what is going on here, and seeing if anyone is particularly aggressive or particularly scared of us as we enter the village.
As you enter, the Bjornings are a very large people. They all stem from Bjorn, who is himself a shapeshifter into a bear.
Mhm.
They are large, they are burly, they are of dark hair, darker complexion, and as you are going through, there's no fear, there's no relief, there's just weariness. It looks like they have been through something as a community, and the people that are out and about seem to be kind of tiredly going through their day. They are moving from house to house. You can see there are piles of laundry and linens being moved into great wagons to be cleaned somewhere else. You can see people bringing food door to door. It seems like as a community they are in the midst of not quite a crisis, but definitely something that requires everyone that is able to be up and helping.
I would pass this information on to my my party, my party mates as we move towards Bjorn's house.
Interesting.
Very.
And so
Well-
we're walking through town and people are just sort of watching us, looking
They're
at
not
us.
even paying you a lot of mind. There are too
They're
few
just
hands to do
exhausted.
too much work. Yes.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay. And I think as we would approach the door, I would
Mm.
Come in.
I open the door.
You are met with an absolute bear of a man. He is massive. He is covered in pelts, big full beard, long scraggly hair, and dark bags underneath his eyes. This is Bjorn, the chief of Karok. And with sort of a leaning, he welcomes you in.
Lord Bjorn, you forgive my directness. It is good to see you again. You did not look like this last time.
No, I suppose I wouldn't have.
We were sent here originally to look after some concerns about the honey, but it seems that the village is more of the problem.
Yes, when I had sent word to Lord Elrond, it had just been the honey in the Nairmere. Now it seems to have infected our town. Folks are sick. We don't know what to do.
When did this start? I'm sorry for just intruding in your, I guess.
And he
Day.
just kind of like makes a non-committal gesture, like you're fine.
I would as someone who's probably seen him more recently, I would introduce potentially Haven and Galen if they hadn't met him before, and just by name. Assuming that Narwin had already met him. At
Oh,
least.
yeah, no.
Yeah, and he nods
Easy.
in a recognition. If you want, you can still check out the honey. That's where it seems to have started. There's something that's got the Nairmere all riled up. But it just seems like all the animals in the area have gone sour. No good meat, or anyone that eats it has fallen ill. We don't know what to do.
Well, we should find where your bees pollinate. Because that would be place in which it originated, no? That seems to make sense.
You can check, the meadows are just up the road, not far at all.
I'm going to quietly look through my books again, and I'm going to try to find, like, I put the one encyclopedia away, I take out another on flora and fauna, and I want to try to figure out what flowers are in that specific meadow.
Yeah.
As well as I guess I want to narrow down like what's there, but what's the most common flower that is the bees are actually pollinating and creating this honey from.
Okay, you can make a lore roll.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna do the 2 because it's favored. That is a 9 because I got an 11 again, so we're gonna take the 9.
Oh, a lot of 11s.
Right?
I know, it's scary.
I know.
And then I got 16 on my dice, so I passed that. I did get 1 6.
Excellent. You've been to Karok, you know, Bjorn. You've been to these very meadows. It is wildflowers. It is coneflowers. It is lilac. It is all these lovely pollen-heavy flowers. Nothing that would strike you as odd, or nothing that isn't found around Rivendell as well.
Do I know if these particular flowers are susceptible to this curse, this darkness? Because I know that there are some like bits of flora that are hardier and some that are not so much.
In your reading, because that was a great success, the blight it ravishes anything that it comes into contact with.
Okay.
From what Bjorn has said, it mostly seems like it is their meadow caretakers, the Nairmir, for lack of a better word, the fairies that do tend to the bees that seem to have been the first inclination something was wrong. They became aggressive, which is not something that they are used to.
And I can roll another lore if needed, but I know where these caretakers reside.
Absolutely.
Okay.
They live in the meadow. The meadow is their home, which is why the bees were placed there.
Okay. I'd like to do another lore check. I want to figure out geographically why this particular town. Like, is this sitting on something that is of importance? Are there runes? Are there different statues or things that would be important that this town is a hub for this start of this thing?
You can roll a lore check.
Okay, let me do that. So while all of this conversation is happening, like, don't mind Narwin. She's just doing her thing. Very, very quiet, but like flippantly, like going through pages.
Okay.
I think while this would be happening, I have, it's not favored, but I have a decent understanding of healing. And my sense is where that comes from is that I've been on the battlefield and seen enough people be injured and spent enough time being injured myself to watch what the elves who are proficient with healing do. And I'm wondering if, while they're discussing, after I have my discussion, if I can kind of excuse myself from the house where Bjorn is and go see if I can, and we can do this after, like go see potentially a couple of the townsfolk who are sick.
Yeah. What did you get on your lore roll?
So I got a 1 and a 12. And then on the 3 dice, I got a 6, a 2, and a 4. So in total, I got 24. My wits is 12, so I doubled it.
Yeah, you are golden.
Just casually.
It's not necessarily that this place is a hub for anything. There are no nearby runes of great import. It might just be that this is the only settlement of peoples for hundreds of miles, other than Rivendell. On this side of the Misty Mountains, Karok is pretty much it until you get down towards Lothlorien.
Okay. So I think at that point, Narwin pauses and just places the tip of the feather of the quill against her chin. lost in thought. And, like, obviously has things to say, but has not said them.
Mhm. I believe that Galen actually something kind of similar to what Salen is trying to do, but instead she's focusing her attention on this person before her because
Yeah.
she's not familiar. She usually is a little less likely to trust people that she does not know, like other than like her sister, or the people in Rivendell. So she's paying attention to just his as he talks, like, you know, if she's kind of getting a sense, is he telling the truth?
Ooh.
Is he you know, possibly stricken with something? Like it's she's kind of analyzing, she's doing the Sherlock Holmes rundown.
Insight or
head to
awareness,
toe.
whichever you prefer.
I would love to do awareness if
Go for it.
possible.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. All right. That was a 10 on the one die,
Beautiful.
and then 5 on the 2d6s.
So a 15, does that mean?
That yes.
Okay.
I had a 13 for my target number.
Beautiful. He just seems tired.
Mm-hmm.
He does not seem ill. There are no signs you would recognize. You've seen illness before. He doesn't look pale. He doesn't look like he is glazed over or glossed over. It just seems like a man that has had to deal with too much in too short a time. As he's kind of like rubbing the spot between his eyes, the bridge of his nose, kind of looks up at you. He's like, don't really know anything about anything. We've never dealt with something like this. I would start with the honey. I know it seems like a silly thing, but several of the hives were damaged, and that seems to have been the source of the aggression from the Nairmere.
So then to the meadows, perhaps?
That seems to be the best place to begin.
All right.
Quite callously, Narwin looks to Bjorn. It is truly unfortunate that you're the only settlement here for miles. I'm sure if there was another, they would have stopped this prior to it getting to you.
Oh, I'm not sure about that, but here we are.
Perhaps, perhaps not. But unfortunately, this blight is something that we, as a people, have seen before. Not quite as slow, but again, I assume it's only as slow as it is because you are the only ones here.
That could make sense. We've also
will do
taken
what we can.
Great measure to ensure that no one else gets sick after we figured out that it was coming from what people were eating and hunting.
What are you eating?
Well, right now we're working off our stores of grain. What few vegetables we have, thank goodness it's summer. We have things that we can harvest. No meat. The meat seems to be what's part of the corruption. And most of the animals have left leastwise.
While this is going on, like, Haven has completely nosily just allowed herself to walk around Bjorn's place.
Yeah.
She's just looking, you know, pulling books off the shelf, sniffing plants, looking around.
It's very musty.
It's like, Bjorn, would it be possible to bother you for a cup of tea? No honey. And hold the honey. I do have a couple questions for you myself, if you don't mind. What exactly is this town like known for? What does it import or export?
We did export honey. That was kind of our calling card, but we mostly keep to ourselves.
Yes, so you do.
Self-sufficient. There's not many of us. It doesn't take a lot.
Do you remember anything at all that happened right before things started to fall off?
I mean,
Anything-
spring seems to be when our bees come back. Bees came back.
From where?
In the meadow, just up the road. We don't tend the bees ourselves. The meadow belongs to the Narmir. They allow us to harvest. They aren't right now. And that seems to have been where the problem started.
Ah. Interesting.
We don't want to. We certainly don't want to roll up in your town and act like you haven't done due diligence yourself. Again, of course, we are just here to perhaps we could provide another eye and, information.
You have some keen eyes, elves.
Sort of.
We shall put those to use in order to get to the bottom of things here.
We will help
Thank you.
Without any hesitation, after Narwin has finished writing all of her notes, she bows and then makes for the front door and back over to Baelior as she trades out books and journals and parchments and rolls out another map of this meadow, searching for the place where the Narmir rest during winter.
Ooh. It is quite an odd thing. The Narmir appear, you would know this just from reading. I'm not going to make you check for that. The Narmir appear as small, almost sentient whirlwinds. In the winter, they simply just aren't there.
They just aren't there?
Yeah, the image of them, the whirlwind that is so very ethereal, just is not visible in the winter.
Because perhaps there's something there, something. Maybe they brought something back with them. Or, I don't want to believe your village is cursed. That's going quite far. But
Quite feels like
no,
it. though.
it is. Narrowing, because I'm going to assume that Haven is a little louder than the rest of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Narrowin hears, I don't want to say your village is cursed, and then instantly turns around. No, it absolutely is cursed.
He just kind of wearily nods at that. He's not going to argue.
well,
People are dying.
Let's not jump to any conclusions yet until we have further evidence.
I'm not concluding anything. I am simply relaying information and pattern.
But why? That's what we have to figure out. Why you are cursed. That is how we will figure this out and end whatever it is that is accosting your village.
Can we just
Raven
not
says
say
dramatically.
curse? No curse at the moment. Let's just not.
But we
mention that.
call a wolf.
Well, of course you would call a wolf because evidence would say that it's a wolf.
Based off the evidence of myself and my forefathers, this is a curse.
But we have not even set foot amongst the meadows where we are supposed to inspect the area. We can't
Darwin
say
just
that with
fixes her
certainty.
glasses and turns around and very
I am
quietly.
one who needs evidence and to see it instead of just reading theory.
She grits her teeth at that. She grits her teeth and she turns around and very silently towards Baelior just screams, opens her mouth, but she's not screaming. It's just a very silent scream of frustration and anger and disapproval. She is just cranky and she's like,
I'm simply trying to just use reason.
well,
My
you
goodness.
so the fun part about it is Galia can't see her face right now.
Yeah.
She's literally back to everybody, and it's
No,
just
she's talking to her sister. I'm just
Oh.
trying to use so she's trying to explain to her sister that why she says let's ixnay on the curse and try to prove that it is indeed that.
And meanwhile, Narwin's just outside freaking out,
Darwin's like,
silently.
Galen is also to try to be courteous because she feels for this person now that she sees is just so weary, because at first she was suspicious, is this person actually the one behind everything? And then she's like, no, this poor dude is
He's just sad.
he's just sad. He's less sad. So she's now feeling bad, and then she's just like, okay, we have to be, nice and polite about it. It's not just like, you're cursed. So Galen's kind of like trying to like ease this man's mind, but it's not working, especially with the other two like, curse, 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 curse.
Yeah. And Narrowwood is like, there's no social graces. They're gone. You're
No,
cursed.
absolutely not. She is a woman of knowledge, and she does not care about your feelings.
And Salem,
Wow.
yeah.
While
So
they're
wait a
all
minute.
inside. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
You're good.
Narrowin, once you did tell me a story, there are different types of curses. What type of curse do you think this would be if there is such a curse?
The one that originated in Dol Guldur. Just based off the evidence of hundreds of thousands of years of research, and she shoots Galen a very pointed stare.
It's your evidence.
What
And
is
she
Salem up
clasps
to?
her hands and just like throws it down at her waist and is standing there.
And Galen just kind of looks to the side. We still need evidence.
As they're having this conversation inside, I think I'm kind of maneuvering my way through the village first, strictly by like just my eyes trying to take in what I can as like seeing. And something I would want to do is look for someone who if potentially is more tired or more injured, or someone who might have been injured by the Naramir, the spirits or the fairies who were looking after the honey. Whether this is something that how much you ingested is proportionate to how ill you are, or if this is something that's potentially traveling in a different way, or if there's been someone who's had to fight back against one of the Naramir if they were aggressive or attacked.
Ooh, go ahead and make a healing roll.
Okay, I can absolutely do that. I have two, I believe those are 2 success die in that. So let's roll that D12. Okay, that's a 10. I am rolling very well. And we'll roll 2d6. And that is going to be altogether is going to be a 17, which beats my very high heart roll of 16.
Excellent.
So we're just squeaking past there.
We love that. It's not a big village. You go house to house, just kind of like peeking, not being super intrusive, as these are people that are taking care of their own. You come across someone that had been struck by the Naramir. You notice it's almost like rug burn is the closest thing I can think of. But just these sort of like not even gashes, but just abrasions against people's arms, people's faces. Those are being treated as standard wounds, and those people don't seem affected. They just seem hurt. You notice, in direct contrast, the people that are being considered ill, they are lethargic, they are unmoving, their eyes have glazed over, they are pale, and you can even see the beginnings of dark veins creeping up in their necks.
Ooh. I would try and, is there somebody who's tending? I'm assuming that they're keeping a lot of the people who are ill together.
It is like household by household.
Household by household. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there somebody who seems to be tending to more of one than one person, or who is not themselves afflicted but is doing some tending?
Absolutely. You come across one house where there are 2 affected and a father that is tending to his wife and his son.
Okay. May I have a moment of your time?
Sure. How can I help you?
Your family seems to be afflicted with what we have come here to investigate. How long ago do you believe they ingested?
It's been about a week.
Have they gotten worse?
They became ill rather quickly. They have not gotten worse, but they certainly haven't gotten better. My son came back with a boar from a hunt that he was on. He cooked it, and they fell ill shortly thereafter.
You did not?
I didn't ingest, I was away.
I understand. Is this the typical pattern that you've been seeing through the village? Ingest either the honey or the meat locally, and that is what has caused this illness?
Seems to be it. We gathered that pretty quickly, so we've been eating off of our stores and what we can harvest.
I understand. Has anything helped alleviate this illness amongst your people?
We're just trying to keep them comfortable. We haven't found a way to help. Just to keep them from getting worse.
I understand. Well, I appreciate your time. I won't take too much of it. If we find something, we will let Bjorn know.
Appreciate
And
that.
I'd encourage you to let him know if it starts traveling in a different manner, or becomes worse, or starts spreading quicker.
Will do. So far, we seem to have been able to keep it contained to those that were initially infected.
Right. So yeah, I'm gonna gently excuse myself from there. Are there, so the bees live in the meadow?
Yes, and the meadow is directly adjacent to the village. If you go past Bjorn's house, there is a gate. Past the gate, there are the meadows and a forest off to the right.
Okay. I am going to go and kind of circle around the village and just meet back up with the rest of them. I think I would just wait outside of Bjorn's house for them. I would probably wait actually at the gate to the meadow. I don't think I would save the walking distance and stand at the gate to the meadow.
And as you three exit Bjorn's house, you see Salen right there. The gate is mere feet away from this house.
Salen.
Yes.
Oh, I was just going to ask you. I'm assuming you went somewhere to ask some questions.
I've walked through this village before and seen its industry and bustling nature, so it is concerning for me to see it so dour and, frankly, exhausted. I walked through, spoke to someone. They managed to keep it contained, but there are veins, black sickness creeping up onto necks and faces, and it is, as we heard inside, stemming from the meat and the honey. The meat. Yes.
Well, as they say, that you are what you eat, and if the animals are, in fact, eating of the fauna that are infected, or the honey, then yes, this makes sense.
Higher up the food chain, it seems. As something that also concerns me is that nothing is abating it. Nothing is getting better. Many of the people here have been ill for a week or what seems like longer, and they simply are now keeping them comfortable. Nothing is fixing it, and it is not getting better itself.
Do I know that these are all signs and symptoms of that same blight?
Absolutely.
So,
but again, not as aggressive. There had been in your reading, when people took on the blight, they either would die outright or become corrupted. They would become darn near zombies. Feral.
Okay. So I am going to flip open to the pages and then just present it to Galen.
I would give it a quick scan, truly jump reading through it, making sure that it, that it affirmed what we had.
And it does.
That seems to line up and seems to be put together. So, to the meadow, shall we? And don't eat anything.
To the meadow and don't eat. Well, I mean, Galen has plenty of snacks in her satchel, so I guess we can use it if you're a little hungry, if needed. But one thing I do worry about with this place is that I don't want to alarm anyone, but once it quickly gets into the food and water supply, that's it for everybody here. So let's go to the meadow.
Time is of the essence, yes.
As you approach the meadow, it is very well tended. It is wild, but not completely untended to. You notice there are hives set up, these cute little white structures dotted throughout the meadow. Two of them that are quite close to the edge facing the woods are completely smashed in. And as you get closer, you notice that mixed in with the honey and the honeycomb and all the gooey bits that are spilling out of it, there is a black ichor mixed in, almost as if it had been clawed and meshed in with the honey itself. And there is a dripping track leading into the woods from these two hives.
See, Narwin, this is just what I was saying. Evidence to confirm the theory. That's all I needed. I'm not insulting your knowledge. I'm just
You clearly are
saying
insulting my knowledge, and that is fine.
that is not insulting if we need proof of what is happening in order to try to figure out if there's a way to reverse it. If there is such a thing.
The blackness in the village was not enough. The testimony of many was not enough.
Its origin, my dear.
It's fine. Galen, I will rest easy knowing that we will not agree.
Damn.
That we must find the source of the problem? Okay, all right, if you say so.
I agree on that. The other stuff, not so much.
Does the ichor seem to be leading, like it originated from the hive, exploded outward, and then is leading into the woods? Or does it seem like it's led from the woods, crept up into the hive, and then erupted from there? Like, so...
It seems like the hive was smashed in by something.
Okay.
Yes.
Ichor is mixed in with that honey, and a trail of honey and ichor is leading out back into the woods.
So it's like returning from whence it came. I understand.
Got it.
I think putting this together, having fought beasts and large things, I think Salen would point out this is obviously smashed in by a larger creature, and I wonder too that now this is returning from whence it came. So there too we shall go, I assume.
We have breadcrumbs, as they say.
One moment. Galen's going to take a closer look to see if she can identify the type of like what, if it was like a claw mark, like what markings they are.
Yeah, real quick, make a hunting check.
Okay. Okay, that was a 9 on the die and a 3 for the 2d6. So that is just under. So she does not probably know.
It's just a big animal. So as you have taken into account what has happened here and you follow your trail of breadcrumbs into the woods where there is an astounding absence of animal sounds and life, that is where we will pick up next time.
Oh
my goodness.
That's a good place to end, though.
I know.
Right? As
It
we
really
head
is.
to the forest.
I tried to find out, guys, what it was. I'm sorry.
Spooky
Color me
forest.
intrigued.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm
The
sorry
dice
that
wants to tell the tale, though. So
I'm
that
so
can-
sorry that Narwin is a know-it-all. I'm so sorry.
It's so good, the dynamic is so good.
It's so good.
Honestly,
No,
I
but you
think
warned us. You warned us. You told us that's what she is. It's different. You know what I mean? We don't respect
I think that a group that leads with sword and with anything metal, we need a bookworm. So I think you're good.
Mhm.
Galen's like, I see it and then I believe it.
Yeah, and Narwin's like, I've told you, I've written it.
I know.
My father has written it. My mother has written it.
Amazing.